All right. So we are recording. While you guys are typing away, letting me know what your number one kind of obstacle or struggle is getting people to commit. We're going to go through and we're going to talk about, you know, many of you are building your business and you have other things that are going on in your life. You may have a full-time job, you may have part-time jobs, you may be a student and going to school, you may be taking care of elderly parents, you may be a stay-at-home mom with young kids, right? We all have a lot of other commitments in our lives. And so Beachbody serves a couple of purposes. It's either an avenue for you, an outlet for you to sort of do something for yourself, right? It's kind of, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's something that you want to earn a little bit of extra income, or maybe you're looking at this as like, eventually I want this to become my full-time income. And so the one thing that I just want to say to each and every one of you, wherever you are at right now, is that if we don't make time to build our business every single day and schedule that into our calendar, it really is just a hobby to you. It's kind of one of those things that you kind of sort of fit it in when you kind of sort of have the time for it. And so if you want this to pay you like a business, you really have to say to yourself, even if I can only devote 1 or 2 hours a day, I am going to approach this as a business. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if I have just a couple of hours a day, what do I need to focus on? And even if you're like me and your kids do go to school, you know, and you're home all day, because I know my kids get on the bus at 8 and they come home at 4, I have all 8 hours of my day to work on my business, but it shouldn't take me that long to get the most important things done, right? Even at the level that I'm at right now, I still am able to do other things and still be wildly successful. So I would venture to say that if you're not having success right now, it's because a couple of things: you just started and you're just gaining traction in your business, or you're not focused on the right activities, right? You're wasting a lot of time. You're scrolling the news feed. You're watching everybody else's Instagram stories. You're comparing yourself to other people. You're spending hours collecting information and watching training videos and everybody else's live videos, and you're not focused on the right activities. So everybody should have in front of them their Success Club System Tracker. It's our daily business activity tracker. This is the most up-to-date version that Beachbody just came out with. You can find this in one of two places. If you don't have it right now, you can find it in the Champions page, the Facebook Champions page. It's in the Files section, or you can go right into your Coach Online office. It's called the Success Club System Tracker. Carl talked about this on the National Wake Up Call, didn't he? If you guys listened to it. So what did he challenge everybody to do? To print 52 of these out, because there are 52 weeks in the year, and put it in a binder and commit to filling this out. I guarantee you, if you do this, you will have success in your business. All right. So that's kind of number one. And a lot of times people don't commit to all of the things. They may do 1 or 2, but not all. And we need all of these things sort of working together. So I'm going to give you a rundown of what this is going to look like to help you guys get to your goals in your business. All right. But before we dive into our trackers, I want to just back up for 1 second. And I want to say, okay, it's Sunday night. I spent some time today planning out my week, right? So every Sunday I put down, when am I going to work out? When am I going to build my business? When am I going to spend time with my kids? When am I going to grocery shop? When all of the things, everything in my life is on a calendar. And then hour by hour, I write out what I'm going to do during my business hours. Okay. So I have that very much scheduled out in my calendar. I then go to my husband and I say, this is what my week is going to look like. Right. And when he was working full time and I was home with the kids and we were trying to navigate this really chaotic life, you know, of building this business, and everything was kind of crazy, it meant that we had to really communicate. Hey, I'm going to be on a call at 9 o'clock on a Monday night. Hey, I'm going to need you to get the kids ready for bed because I have these goals and I need to hit Success Club and it's getting down to the end of the month. So I need 2 hours in the evening to devote, you know? And so we would have these open conversations about what I needed from him and what he needed from me. And it made life work a little bit better. So if you haven't done that, I want everybody to sort of plan out what your following week is going to look like and when you're actually going to dedicate time to build your business. The next thing is we block out this time, but so many people You can just raise your hand. How many of you are like, but I don't know what to do when I sit down to build my business. I don't know what to post about. I don't know how to actually get the traction. I sit there and it's just blank and I don't know what to say or do. So there's this tracker, and it's actually not a tracker, but it's something you can write down. Honestly, if you just get a sheet of paper out, you can write the days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's all it really is. And so what I do every single week is I say to myself, okay, what is my goal for the week ahead? So I put on here as an example, my goal is to sign up 3 clients, or it could be coaches, for my self-love club challenge group, which is my next challenge group that I'm starting, right? And so I write that. That's my goal. My goal is to sign up 3 clients or coaches for my self-love club challenge group. So what is your goal for the next 7 days? What are you working towards? So everybody should know what they're advertising for, what they're working on at this moment. And then, because it's my goal, I put 3 little squares at the top here. So I can color in those squares as I sign up those 3 people. All right. So now I know what my focus is. And so then I take out this social media planner and I begin to say to myself, okay, what am I going to talk about that is going to be directly related to the Self-Love Club Challenge? What do I want people to know? Well, here's the starting point. People, when you say I'm hosting a challenge group, most people don't know what a challenge group is. All right. You know what a challenge group is, but they don't understand. So it's our job through social media to educate people on what it is that we're actually doing. So I say to myself, okay, if I want people to join this challenge group, I need to make a post, and I really need for people to see that it works. So the first thing that I'm going to write on Monday is I'm going to share my side-by-side photo of wherever I'm at in the journey right now. If you are 14 days into your coaching journey, you should have a day 1 and a day 14 photo. All right. If you are 21 days into your Beachbody coaching journey, you have day 1 to day 21. If you're 365 days into your journey, you should have a transformation, right? And so what we want to do is we're constantly telling that story. So side-by-side photo. And if you don't have a transformation yet, that's what the basic of building this business is, showing people that the products work, right? And so we have to have that transformation, right? So the next thing is I put those side by sides together, and I want to tell my story. I want to tell people what this has done for me. And so my Monday morning post is going to say my story on there. All right. But it's going to be an invite. And so I'm going to talk about my before and afters. And I'm not just going to keep it surface level, because I know a lot of you do that, but I want you to get vulnerable, and I want you to connect with your audience. And I want you to say, what are the reasons why I signed up for challenge groups in the first place? For me, it was like I was 30 pounds overweight. I was wearing Spanx. I was still wearing maternity clothes 6 months after I had my kids. I had no body confidence. It was affecting my relationship. I was always tired, and I was taking it out on my kids. If you say things like that in a post, it resonates to another mom that is at the exact same point in her life right now as you are. Maybe you work 68, 70 hours a week at your job right now, and that's what you want to say. I work 60 to 70 hours a week. I didn't have time to take care of myself. I was constantly going through the drive-thru. I was living off of caffeine. I was tired. I had headaches all the time. My work clothes didn't fit. I was embarrassed to stand up and present to a room full of my colleagues, right? And enough is enough. And I finally just decided that I needed to make a change. If you say that kind of stuff, if you say what really went on in your head on the post, it will attract the right people. And then your next very short blurb is, I signed up for a support and accountability group. I committed to 20-minute workouts 6 days a week. I committed to learning how to eat better. And over the course of 14 days, I am down 7.5 pounds, right? And the best part is I'm surrounded by people that are cheering me on. A community that has my back, women that are giving me healthy recipes, right? So talk about what are the benefits of the challenge group within your story. And then lastly, say, these are my results so far. I know this can help so many people out there. If this speaks to you right now, send me a private message, and I would be happy to connect you with what I'm doing, and we can cheer each other on together, right? Simple, easy. That is not only a call to action, but it's connecting people and telling your story. So every single week you should have one of those. Let's move on. The next thing is on Tuesday, I had a Transformation Tuesday post. So I'm going to pull somebody else's transformation and I'm going to tell their story, because I know that the more I tell stories, the less I sell to people, but the more that I actually like tell people like examples of how other people are succeeding and what their stories are, the more likely I'm going to connect to different people in the audience. So that will be Tuesday. I'll pull a transformation story from our team page, from one of our challengers, right? We've got tons of success stories that our coaches always share. You can just ask them if you can share their story. Not a big deal at all. Wednesday, I'm actually going to talk about what is the Self-Love Club. So I'm going to go live and I'm going to, on my page, on my feed, and I'm going to say, guys, one of the things that I strongly believe is that, it's not just physical, it's not just your nutrition, but it's your mindset. Right? And you can be a certain number on the scale, but if you don't love the skin you're in, you're always going to be chasing something more, always feeling empty. And part of changing your body is also accepting yourself the way you are, loving yourself for all of the flaws. And so, the whole month of February, obviously it's the, Hallmark holiday. And so we're going to lean into that. We're going to use that as our example. We're going to really love ourselves, right? And we're going to focus a lot on positive self-talk. And so now I'm going to go live. I'm going to tell people all the benefits of this challenge group. Notice I didn't say anything about Shakeology or Beachbody, but I'm talking about what I'm giving them, how I'm going to support them, and how I'm going to help them reach their goals. All right. On Thursday, I'm going to do some recognition. So I'm going to collect some success stories of my challengers, and I'm going to make an awesome post that I'm going to put together, and I'm going to shout out the hard work that my customers are doing in their challenge group right now. And then I'm going to make a sentence or two in there that invites people to do this alongside of me. All right, on Friday, it's an engagement post, right? So it's going to be my 5 top tips for surviving the weekend and staying on track. I'm just showing up to give people advice, because when you show up on your social media and you give people free advice that they can automatically implement, like I did this on Saturday. I went live. I talked about how I pack my cooler. I shared my cooler. I talked about, the snacks that I take with me, and I just gave free advice. And then today I did it with planning and prepping this morning. And all I did was ask a very simple question. Do you plan and prep, or what are your favorite snacks to take along? That's an engagement post. I was asking people a question to engage in the audience. All right. Then on Saturday, I had another one where it was like Saturday mindset. It's going to be a long day. I needed to get up and get my workout in. Sometimes I don't feel like it, but I do it anyways. And then Sunday I had like meal prep, self-care Sunday, call to action on Sunday night for challenge group posts. And so I have these like posts. These are like my Beachbody posts, and I plan this out. Like it's done. Now I know exactly what I'm going to do every day. I don't quite have the post written yet, but I know the concept. So I will sit down, first thing tomorrow morning, and I'll write out my content for the day. But this is important that you actually take the time to have a game plan. Now, other things that I'll do mixed in here is I'll talk about, if I'm going on a date with my husband, you may see a post where I say, what should I wear, A or B? People love to give input. They love to give advice on things, right? If you have like a favorite home remedy for colds, because it's cold and flu season, and if you travel a lot, maybe you give like your favorite like juice recipe that helps like boost your immune system, right? So give other things other than just health and fitness or Beachbody advice or advertising for a challenge group. Work in a little bit of life in there as well. Favorite personal development books that you're reading, favorite brands of clothing. If you found a new pair of jeans, like talk about this new pair of jeans that you're wearing and why you love them, but you could throw in there like, I lost 5 pounds, so these jeans fit like a glove, right? And so you really want to work life in. And this is your feed. So every week, friends, you have to ask yourself, what am I advertising for? And how am I going to use my social media feed to build trust? The more you share, the more you give freebies, the more you create content that just adds value and makes other people want to search you and go see what you posted for the day, the more likely you are to actually get people to purchase from you. Does that make sense? It is all about like give, then we take. It's about building that trust. And you really have to sit down and brainstorm a list. And really it's ask yourself like, what what is going on with you right now? Like, what are you struggling with? Everything I posted about last week on social media were things I was going through. Sugar detox, headaches, right? Sore from a new workout program. How do I handle muscle soreness, right? How much water should you drink in a day? All the things you saw me post, it's just what I was going through. I just shared that all publicly, right? And made it that, or whatever my challengers were going through is what I posted. So that really kind of takes care of, if we're looking at our trackers, that's really the social media post that benefits your healthy lifestyle and has a call to action. And that call to action is very much so like, join my challenge group, comment below, would you like more information? Or it's like, do you agree? Or drop an emoji or vote on this. Like, and a call to action is what you want people to do with the post. You have to tell them what you want, because otherwise they're not going to know what to do with it. Does that make sense? So you always, and so read it back to yourself before you make the actual post. Read it back and say, did I give people content that they can actually take and use? Did I inspire, motivate, teach? What did I do? And did I tell them what to do with it? Did I give them a very specific call to action? All right. Okay. So here's the next thing. I find that I do both. I always direct people to the application, but I've tried the emoji thing. It just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my audience. The application is what works. But it's up to you. I've even tried like leave your email address in the comments. That doesn't work for me either. The application for me is what I've conditioned my audience to do. So that is what they do. That's what works very well for me. Okay. So I want to kind of just flip over here, and I want to say this social media plan should not take you 2 hours to make one piece of content. All right. Because if it is taking you that long, you are overthinking it. You are overthinking it. This is like a half hour, right? And you should be done with that post. It shouldn't take, and if you've already taken some of the photos, then you're already ahead of schedule. So now I'm going over to my Success Club tracker because we spent a little bit of time talking about what our plan is. Now we need to say to ourselves, I've got the post, but the posts aren't going to be everything. I have got to show up and do the work too. So I look at number one. Number one on that tracker says be proof that the product works. That should be the easiest part of our job. Every day it should be check, check. I drank my shake, did my workout, and that should automatically lead right into your content, which we'll talk about. The next thing is, did we post on our social media? The third one down there under number two, I'm skipping around here. Under number two, connect, invite, and follow up. It says an hour and 40 minutes. Do you see that? It actually gives you an amount of time that you're going to spend, which I love that they do that, right? Because it kind of gives you like a benchmark of what you should focus on. So for example, this morning I sat down and I made a list of all the things I needed to do today. And I looked at the clock and it was 6 a.m. and I'm like, I should be done with this by 8 o'clock. And I was looking at my clock on my computer as I was typing and doing things. I was very diligent about not getting lost in the time and being efficient with my time too. So kind of remember that as you're going along. Pay attention to how long things are taking you and try to be a little more efficient. Okay, initiate connections and add followers. So this part of your business is so important. We all start out with like a certain number of friends. So I had maybe 75 friends on my Facebook page. I didn't have an Instagram account when I started. So the first thing that I did when I opened my doors for business was I made it a point every day to add at least 10 or 15 new people, right? And so I was building my business on Facebook. So I was like, okay, who am I not friends with? Friends from college, friends from high school, people in my neighborhood, parents of the kids that my kids go to school with, like who at my church, like who am I not connected to? My husband's friends, people we know from his work and my work. And so I just started sending friend requests. We had a mutual relationship. I was just sort of closed off and I never really opened that door. You can do the same thing on Instagram too. Go follow all of the people that you know. All right. Make a connection with all of those people. Get them to follow you back. That's number one. Every single day, even if you have a good warm market right now, eventually your warm market will run out. So start churning that wheel now. So that was kind of number one. Then I also started using hashtags on Instagram. So use like location, where you live, search where you live, search your small town, favorite restaurants, brands that you like, small businesses in your area, products, things that you use. You can use those hashtags, but you can also search them. And it should be a quick search. Find 5 to 10 people that are like you, that you would want to be friends with, and you would actually want to sit at the kitchen table and have a conversation with. It's not people that have hundreds of thousands of followers. It's people just like you and I. All right, that's what you're looking for. You have to sift a little bit. You really do. And you're not, when you friend people or follow them, don't have an expectation that they're going to be a customer right away. Your goal, again, is to get them to like your page and follow you back. All right, so that's the way I look at it. So it's kind of like these, 10 people I get on my page. I go to their Instagram. I look at their feed. I say, ooh, I want to be friends with this person. Yes, let me like 3 of their photos. Ooh, let me comment on this one. I drop a couple of comments because, hey, when somebody new comments on your stuff, you pay attention too, right? So then what are they going to do? They're going to go look at your feed and make a decision of whether or not they're actually going to stick with you and stay the part with you. So that's something I do every single day. And that's really important for you to just get your business growing. I do not use Stim Social. I do not use any third-party tools because they mess with your algorithms. They and Instagram and Facebook have made it very clear that they will shut down any Instagram accounts that are using anything like that, and they will. And so you don't own your account. They can take it away at any time. So I just don't do it. All right. It's better to hire an actual individual, which you can do through Upwork. If you want somebody to help focus on that activity, you can find somebody that can help you grow that Instagram account. All right. Okay. So initiate connections and add followers every single day. Set that timer and go for it. Like, think about it. You're sitting at the bus stop waiting for kids to get off the bus. You're waiting for kids to come out of basketball practice. You're sitting at lunch, right? Maybe you're a teacher and you have an hour for lunch. You can take 20 minutes, do all your ads and your follow-ups, all right? So find little pockets within your day that you can work on that task. All right, do social media posts. We talked about that one. Now we've got your IG stories. Friends, this is like your bread and butter of your business, all right? Instagram stories are where the magic happens. This is where you get to be creative. This is where it doesn't have to be perfect. This is where it is just people get to know you. So every day you should have at least these things on there. So daily life. What does a typical day in your life look like? I want to know. I want to go to your stories because I want to see what your life is like. And if you say to yourself, "Oh, my life is really boring," trust me, other people don't think that. Other people want to know what you're up to and what you're doing. So think about it this way. Did you get a new pair of jeans? Take a picture of yourself in those new pair of jeans. Are you like I still post about how my work attire is my sparkly slippers and my yoga pants, right? And I'm off to my office, right? People want to know what you're eating. Take a picture of your food. People want to know like that your house is a mess and you have 9 million loads of laundry and that your kids are driving you crazy. Like, snap all of those life things that happen. People want to see that. They want to see you going on a date with your spouse. They want to know what you ordered because you're clearly into health and fitness. So they want to know you're also normal and have a piece of cake or a glass of wine every once in a while, right? So this daily life allows you to kind of show you and your personality. Workout clips. Every day I do at least 3. That's kind of my rule of thumb. 3 15-minute clips, 15-second clips is what I do. And all I do is I have a remote self-timer and I have my tripod. And I set that little tripod that's back there in my workout space and I'll record 3 different moves and I actually do it at the end of my workout. I just go back and I pick 3 and I just record myself and then I upload those onto my stories. And I usually try to talk about the workout or talk about if I struggled or if it was like a hard day, I'll go back and I'll do those things. And I'll talk about those. And very often I don't sit there and post those workouts immediately as they happen. I will finish my workout, go make my breakfast, sit down, and then I'll do them while I'm sitting there eating my breakfast. So if you work or if you're busy in the mornings getting the kids out the door, it's okay to wait until they get on the bus and then upload your content. You can just save it to your camera roll, and it's just at least the content is there. So if you're getting overwhelmed by the fact that you're not getting things done, that should really help you in the morning. All right. Okay, products that you use. I do this all the time. I have my Shakeology, but I never use a shaker cup so people can identify it as Shakeology. I talk about it as my daily superfoods. I talk about it as my immune booster. My Energize, I talk about my Energize as being that kick in the pants in the morning. I couldn't survive without that. You know, so I will go through and I will share the products and things I use throughout the day. And products can be skincare, hair, things with your kids. Maybe you found like a really good brand of all natural fruit snacks. Like then you're giving advice, right? You're giving advice to your audience that they could go to Trader Joe's and get those exact same fruit snacks right then and there. So it's just like taking a moment to kind of grab your phone, snap the picture, and be able to post that later. I do a lot with meal prep and healthy recipes. Again, if you're having a hard time getting people to commit to challenge groups, this is a great way for you to say, like, pull up your phone and record yourself and talk about like 3 reasons why you love being a part of these accountability groups, and talk about what the things are that really made a difference. And then at the very last sentence, you say, hey, if you want to link up with me, I run my own accountability groups. Here's how, and direct them to how they can connect with you too. And then you see a lot of times I do the poll options. So to other coaches, like if you follow Megan Blinka, if you follow like Val Bozzo, any of the girls, Mackenzie and Kelly, like any of the, they all use the poll option. And they ask people, do you want to learn more about how I achieve these results? Yes, and absolutely. And then very simply, I'm going to show you what to do and what to say to those people to begin engaging and interacting with them. All right. And then recognition and shout outs. Every week you put that on your feed, but it also should be in your stories. Shout out your challengers. Take screenshots of the challenge group and what people are saying about your challenge groups. Those really, like when people see other people's success stories, that's really where the commitment begins to happen. So everybody, every single day should have all of these things checked off the box. All right. That should be your non-negotiables. We go down to the bottom here. The next one says respond to all new likes, comments, or views. So how many of you post and then just walk away and like never come back to it, never look again? Anybody? So, okay, so thank you. All right, so here's the thing. You always want to post, but you always want to come back to it. And if somebody comments and they're like, I'm interested, make sure you comment underneath. Make sure you say, oh my gosh, I will send you some information. Go check your inbox. Make sure you respond. Don't just send them a message and not respond. Social media is meant to be social. So if you want, like your big goal when you make a post is you want people to leave you comments. And then you want to comment, ask another question so that those people comment. So the more comments you get, the more that Instagram and Facebook say, oh, people are engaging in this. This must be a good post. Let's show it to more people. So it's important for you to have engagement because about 6% of your audience actually sees what you put out there every single day. 6%. So you really have to kind of work hard to get it seen a little bit more. All right. So always respond when people are leaving you comments. The next thing is as far when it comes to like views. So this is something that I do in my Instagram stories, especially when I have a series where I go through and I always look like when you're on your Instagram stories, if you click your stories and you swipe up just a little bit. So this is my Instagram story. And then if you just kind of swipe up, now I can see all the viewers who viewed my stories. So from there, if I say I just did a post on my challenge group, right? And so let's say I did a series where I shared my transformation story and I did like, talk about my results. And then I did a call to action. I would look at that and say, okay, who watched that all the way to the end? I would send them a message. All right. Even if they didn't fill out the poll or fill out anything, I am going to go to that end one and I'm going to say, okay, I'm not going to overthink it, but I'm going to go down through and I'm going to click this this little like arrow, and it says send a message. And what I'm going to do is I am going to type every single person a message. So maybe after this tonight, you're going to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to make an Instagram story, and it's going to be about my next challenge group, and I'm going to share my transformation story. I'm going to tell people what the group is all about, and I'm going to invite them to join me, and I'm going to give them a poll option. Then tomorrow morning when you wake up, right, you'll have some time. People will view those stories. Some people are going to fill out that poll, and you're going to go down through every single person, and you're going to say, hey, Jessica, I saw you viewed my stories. And think about it. If this is somebody you know, like I noticed you've been viewing my stories, right? Thanks so much for following along. How did you find me? Are you on your health and fitness journey too? If I don't know Jessica, I'm just going to say to her, hey, thanks for following along. How did you find me? Are you on your health and fitness journey too? Right? I'm going to start a conversation with her. If it's somebody that I do know, or it's somebody that I have talked to before, I might say like, hey, Melanie, I saw you've been viewing my stories, and I know you're really interested in joining my accountability and support group. I would absolutely love to have you as a part of my next group. It's going to start on the 28th of February. Would now be a better time, right? Is now a good time. So hang on a second. All right. So that's what I would do, right? I would go through and send messages to every single one of those people. If I don't know them, I'm going to ask them how they found me. If I do know them, I'm going to make a connection with them. If somebody fills out my poll and they say, I want more information, I'm going to say to them, hey, Caitlin, thanks so much for filling out my poll. I saw that you wanted more information about my Self-Love Club group. Tell me a little bit more about what your health and fitness goals are. What interests you most about this group? That's going to be my response to them. You could copy and paste that same thing over and over and over again, right? You can kind of save these little scripts, these little like snippets. You can put them in the notes section of your phone. So it's easy. Just grab and copy and paste. And so this is your way of engaging with the people that are viewing your content. Make sense? So this is what you should be spending your time doing when it comes to sending all of those messages. So that is what, the part, and that can count as you're like inviting 5 people to join a challenge group. If somebody fills out your poll and they respond, yes, absolutely, and you message them back and you say, hey, I saw you were interested in my group. Tell me a little bit more about you. What are your goals? What interests you about the group? That's an invite, right? You're inviting them to join your challenge group. You're making that connection. Or if you're talking to somebody and they say, I found you because I was searching Transform 20, then your next thing is, oh, well, if you're interested in it, I run support and accountability groups. Would you be interested in some more information? That's an invite. So your goal, and honestly, 5 is your minimum. If you can double that, go for it, right? Because 1 out of every 10 is going to say yes. So you definitely need to up the ante when it comes to the number of conversations that you are having. Okay. Can you see your conversations once they come down? If you have it turned on, you can actually see, your archive. So if you go into your archives and you look at your stories, that's where I can go back and see all my previous ones. So I can go back in here and I can see all the previous people that have viewed my stories in my archives right there. So yes, you can. All right. Okay. Good. I'm glad that helps, Sarah. I find people who fill out their poll either ignore my message, and that's okay. Here's the thing, guys, and I said this to one of my coaches earlier this week. We get so discouraged when people say no, or when people ignore us, or when people ghost us, or, when we give out a link and then they just don't ever message us back, or they tell us it's too expensive. Here's what I say. Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? Move on. This is my tough love. Stop letting people's lack of participation or response stop you from moving forward. Just move on. Who cares if they don't respond back? On to the next. And so if somebody says they were interested in joining my challenge group and they filled out the poll, I'm going to follow up with them. In 24 hours, I'm going to go back through and I'm just going to follow up with everybody that said that they were interested. You can write it down on a sheet of paper if you want to keep track of if you want to keep track of who said that they were actually interested. And if it's somebody that's like, oh, it was just an accident, cross them off the list. Okay, no problem. And this is what I say, oh, no problem. Happens to me too. If you ever change your mind or you do want to join a group, the door's always open, and off I go. All right. So at least I left the door open. But your job is not to let all of those people that ignore you stop you. Your job is just to keep going, right? Your job is to eventually draw them back in some way because you're just so freaking awesome and you share so much great knowledge that they want to be a part of what you're doing. So who cares? So let's not worry about who accidentally hits the button or who's already a coach. You're like, cool, thanks for following me. On to the next. Because half of the people, when I message them, are already coaches. All right. And so what? It's okay. It's not a big deal. So we just have to sort of not get hung up on that part. Okay. Yeah, some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? All righty. So moving on. We're going on to, we talked about invites and then follow-ups. Follow-ups are so important. How many of you have a list of people that you have talked to that have not responded back to you, or you've sent out the link and they haven't purchased? All right. So first of all, before you follow up, you got to say to yourself, I'm going to follow up with these people, but how am I going to leverage this, right? How do I get them? Like, how do I make them want to sign up right now? I need to make this enticing. I need to make this exclusive. Like, I have got to make this so that they want to join me right this second. And so I say to myself, okay, am I going to tell them that I only have one spot left and that I'm saving it for them? Am I going to tell them that the group starts tomorrow and tonight at midnight is the last day to purchase before the group closes? Am I going to say I have something I'm giving away? Like, you determine what your offer is. What is your leverage that you are giving them right now? Is there a sale going on in Beachbody and we only have until a certain day and then the sale is going to go away? Like, you have to figure that out before you go to send those invites. Then you're going to follow up. Hey, Danielle, right? You're going to say, hey, today's the last day to, enroll to be a part of my Transform 20 group. Whatever. You can say, like, the sale ends at midnight tonight. I've got a spot saved for you. Please let me know as soon as possible if you're still interested. And if you have more questions, I'd love to get you enrolled. I'd love to be able to help support you on your fitness journey. Done. Send. All right. So you want to just go down through, and without prejudging, I want you to send a follow-up to every single person you have talked to for the entire month of January. Anybody on your list that you haven't heard from, decide what your offer is and do your follow-ups. Okay? So that should be boom, boom, boom. Don't overthink it. Don't take a lot of time. Just do the follow-ups and get those out there. This right. Now we're moving on. Now we've got the get people results. Now, this is the part where I go into my challenge groups, and this is where people get lost. And this is where people literally will go in and spend hours building their challenge groups and supporting their customers. Set your timer. What does it say? 30 minutes. Contribute to your challenge group and recognize achievements. If you have 3 people in a challenge group, it should take you 5 minutes to check into that challenge group. All right. You have a script that you're pulling from and you're posting. Or if you go live in there, you're adding some value, you're sharing your own transformation, you're commenting on everybody else's stuff, and you're out. And then you're moving on to the next. So that part of your Beachbody business shouldn't take up that much of your time. So if you are spending all of your time trying to make these perfect challenge groups, you're probably overdoing it. All right. Then the last thing there is do your personal development. This part of my business is what keeps me going. But I do not sit down during my business hours and do personal development ever. My personal development is either audible, like an audio book, or it's a podcast, or if I'm just sitting on the couch and the kids are playing, I'll read a chapter of my book. But when I have undivided, quiet time to build my business, I am doing the things that are number 2. Number 2 is your secret sauce, right? It is that middle part of your success tracker is where I spend all of my time. If you want to build a big business, you 10x this. If you want to just do the bare minimum, you do just the bare minimum of what it says to do in there. That's your gauge of what you do. And I will guarantee you that most of you are not doing this consistently enough to see results. So let me give you an example. When I started my business, And every time I launch a new idea, so I'm going to launch my Self-Love Club Challenge group tonight. People will be interested, but I won't really get signups for about 5 days. Like, people need me to post about it every day, talk about it, like drip all the information along, and then people will start to make a purchase. You have to consistently show up and talk about a concept before people really get on board with it. You really have to add value and show them what you're gonna give them. Like, give them like little snippets of posts that you're gonna do in that challenge group and tips you're gonna be helping them with. Like, that kind of stuff is what gets people to actually make that commitment. All right, so super important that you make sure you take that step. And then the bottom thing is, we want to make sure that we evaluate. You know, it says my weekly results, my business results. Like right now, kind of cut these boxes in half. We'll cut new followers in half and just say, how many followers do I have on Instagram right now? Or how many friends do I have on Facebook? What is going to be your goal? Are you going to increase it by 25, 50, 100 this week? Write a goal for yourself. And then at the end of the week, actually write down what you increased it by. Number of new challengers. Keep track of that. Like, say to yourself, how many new challengers do I want to have this week, right? Really keep yourself accountable to making that happen. SC points, and then number of new coaches. So this tracker, every single week, you're going to get faster and more efficient and more creative because you're practicing, right? So think about it like riding a bike. When you first started to learn how to ride a bike, or you taught your child to ride a bike, they were holding on for dear life. And they couldn't steer, and they couldn't pedal, and they couldn't balance, because you're thinking about all of these things, right? You're thinking about what to post and the right wording and how to engage your audience and all of these like moving parts. But what happens is, the more you practice, the more you get on that bike, the more it's like you just get on and you go. You don't think about pedaling. You don't think about balance. You don't think about steering. It becomes one of those things that, because you practiced, it just becomes natural. Your Beachbody business becomes natural the more you practice. So we got to lean into sort of how uncomfortable having conversations and sending invites and doing follow-ups are, knowing full well that it's going to get easier. All right. So with that being said, I am going to stop really quickly and go back and answer some questions and give you some specific examples. So if there are things about inviting or following up or specific posts that you need some help with, now's a good time for you guys to ask that. Okay. Yes, I have this recorded. I will share it for sure. The social media planner, this is in, it's in multiple places. So it is in my Coach University under the files. It is in the Dream Team Facebook page. It is in the personally sponsored coach page. It is everywhere. So this is everywhere. You should be able to find it in the files section, okay, of all of the team pages. If you can't find it, ask your coach, or if I'm your coach, ask me. Okay. How far in advance are you promoting a new group? So 7 to 14 days. You need to give yourself a good 14 days. So I am now promoting for my group that will be day 1 on February 4th. I started promoting that tonight. So I always give myself a good 7 to 14 days. And do, because it takes people time. And then you make your cutoff, like what's your last possible day? How many people are you going to enroll, is really helpful. You know what else is a really good Instagram story is if, when you do your sequence for your next challenge group, is if you do you ever see where people put like challenge group participants and then they have like numbers and then blank spots, and then you fill people in as they sign up. So if you're going to take 5 people, I mean, if your mom and your husband signed up, put their names in there. All right. You know, and then it just shows exclusivity. And every time somebody signs up, add another name, and then you can re-advertise for it. But it kind of like, it's that fear of missing out. You may have sent a link out to Brandy, but Brandy hasn't purchased yet. And Sarah signs up. So you add Sarah's name to the list and you're like, there's 1 spot left. And Brandy's on Instagram and she sees it and she's like, crap, I need to get that last spot. And so she signs up. All right. So you want to create that exclusivity. That's super important. All right. Moving on. A used poll. Okay, we talked about that. I've had this. Oh yeah, poll. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Let's see. If you have questions, you guys can drop them in the bottom too. So Megan McKenzie, you said you seems like you spend forever searching only to find no one. So that takes some like time, you know, I will say it takes time for me. So I started with like locations and small businesses like around me. And then I like the whole related hashtags, and I do try to be not like, I try not to let it take too much time. So if you go to the search function and then you click on, you can even do places, and I can do like Mars, PA, because that's where I live. Mars, Pennsylvania. Oh, and it even has Mars High School on there. Double wide, like all of these things like around me pop up, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure people tag like Burgatory and stuff around me. So now if I tap that tag, all these things, Mars, Pennsylvania, that people tagged, and we're such a small town that like I can go down through and I can like double tap and look at, there we go. There's somebody right there that I don't know, right? That I can go down through and I can connect with. So it shouldn't take you forever, but you can just go down through and you can like and comment on people's stuff, and then you move on. All right. So, and then sometimes like there'll be other related tags that'll show up. So let's say I do tags, and I'm going to tag like Mars High School. Mars High, 133 posts, right? So when I do that one, then if I can look down through, and I sometimes will even look at like what are other related tags that people are using. Mars High State Champs. So there's other things that I'll kind of go through, and it'll get me on like another, this one's a good one. It's this one. There's like a photographer. So sometimes I'll look at what their tags are that they've used along the way too. So you should be able to find people. It just might be that you're searching too big. Like if you're searching like Beachbody transformations or work at home moms or mom of boys, or, you know, like if you're searching really common hashtags, they're too broad, right? You're going to find other Beachbody coaches, but just search things you like, right? Search things you would naturally search for. And then what ends up happening is as you start searching these things, it's interesting because your search bar becomes customized, and you'll be able to see like all these people start showing up based on what you've been searching. So it'll start pulling the right people into your search function anyways. So that will also help you in that process. Okay. All right. Let me go down here. The best time for me to do invites is like 5:30 a.m. Oh, Susie, I send invites at 5:30 all the time. I've never had anybody be like, why are you messaging me at 5:30 in the morning? So I just don't. I just send them. And I respond to emails because it's quiet in my house, and I can get so much done at 5:30 in the morning. So I just send it. And most people, I don't have my phone on in the middle of the night, so it doesn't. So I just don't think twice about it. So I would send it. If you see somebody viewed your stories, just send it. I wouldn't worry about the time that it is. What else? Getting people to commit. I think that the commitment piece also comes from, are you giving enough value when you're talking to people? But also, you know, when you're talking to people, do you struggle with your own belief? Like if you get nervous when you go to send an invite because you are anticipating that people are going to say no to you, you are actually kind of setting yourself up for failure, right? So when you go into an invite and you go to send somebody an invite, you have to say to yourself, why do I love Beachbody so much? This is the best thing since sliced bread. I never would have kept this weight off, or I never would have lost the weight, or I've made so many great friends, or I've learned how to eat better. You can't find anything like this out there. This is worth the $160 that the challenge pack is. And then I go into a conversation, and when somebody says, well, it's too expensive, or I can't afford that, you know, I'm automatically say like, I totally understand that, you know, at first I kind of was like $160, but then when you look at what you get, like you get an entire year. Like this is what I actually type back. Like I actually will say, you get a whole year of access to all of our programs, all of our nutrition guides, all of our program manuals, and 30 days of our superfood shake, which is a meal or a snack. So it replaces something that you're already grocery shopping for. And I always say like, and the thing that I feel like is invaluable that you can't even put a price on is the support system that you get. And I say, you know what, I understand maybe if you can't afford it now or it's too expensive, maybe you want to save up. I can circle back around in a week or two if you want to just put aside some money, and you can join my next accountability group, or if something changes, let me know. I'd be happy to have you in there. So I always push back. I never just take no and let no be no. If somebody gives me a price objection, and they tell me they don't want to try Shakeology or whatever, I always push back, and I always say, well, have you tried it before? Or, how long ago was it since you had it? Or would you be willing to try it again? Or it's only $4 a serving, and usually most of us eat out at least once or twice a week. So I find a response to come back at people with, because I want them to go, maybe she's right. And even if they say they ignore me or they don't say anything, I'm going to continue on, because some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? Moving on. All right. So but you at least have to have the courage to give that pushback. All right. Let me see. Amanda, do you comment and like the photos of new people and connect with them the same day? Amanda, so it depends on my business hours, right? So let's say that I have new people that have started following me, and it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm going to bed, right? I'm going to go to bed. Then when I wake up on Monday morning, I'll go back through, and then I'll connect with all the people that liked. But I try to do it within that 24 hours, all right? It's not immediately, because I want to make sure that you don't feel like you have to respond immediately to every single thing that happens. I don't keep notifications on my phone, so I don't even know when somebody new follows me or leaves a comment or a like, because I want to make sure that I'm kind of respecting that boundary. So as long as you do it within the 12 to 24 hours, you're perfectly fine. All right, that's my problem. I don't push back. They say no and walk away. So Amber, now that you know that about yourself, I want you to challenge that behavior. I want you to say to yourself, I know this about me. I know I kind of I back off. So next time I have a conversation, I'm going to be ready. All right. So I just want you to challenge that behavior right from the get-go, so you make that happen. How often do I run a group? I run a new group every single month, because I need to hit Success Club every single month, right? I can't take a month off. And so I run 6-week challenge groups, and they run every single month. And so they overlap just a tiny little bit, each and every month. And then because we launched Transform 20 in January, I actually had 2 groups that ran in the month of January. So I always start advertising for a group while the other one is still going on, because after the first week where you're kind of getting your group set up, everybody's in a rhythm, it's really easy to check in. It's really easy to maintain that. Then I can start working on acquiring new customers. Megan, I sometimes do and sometimes don't. So we have such a library now in all of the team pages and all of the trainings. We have all of the challenge group scripts that Beachbody gives us. So if I'm doing a program specific one, I'll use that challenge group guide. And I have some different variations, and I go live in there. So I usually have kind of the same pre-season, kind of the same structure to my groups, but I go live and talk about other things or add additional content based on what they're saying as well. I do send a message to everyone that watches my IG stories. Like if I'm talking about a challenge group, if it's my morning workouts, I will go through and I'll look at my viewers. And if I see somebody new that's been viewing my stories, absolutely, I'm going to send them a message. And sometimes it's copy and paste. If it's just that challenge group stories that they followed, or they did the poll option, then I will say, hey girl, I saw you filled out my poll and you were interested in my accountability and support group. Tell me, what interests you most about it? What are your health and fitness goals? That I can copy and paste, right? So Amber, that doesn't have to be customized. You can just change the person's name. But so some of it is, some of it isn't. If it's somebody that I know, I'll make that a little more personal. If it's somebody that I don't know, hey, how did you find me? Are you on your health and fitness journey too? So there is an element of copy and paste. It just depends on the scenario. All right. But so you send a message to everyone that watches, but customize it, right? Okay. Makes sense. Thank you. All right, good. How do you decide what the topic of my group should be? I don't know. I usually think about what's going on in life right now, think about what people struggle with in your challenge groups. I just am always thinking outside of the box. I'm like, how can I put another spin on this, right? So I've done everything from Battle of the Bulge, because I was like, that was when I was like trying to lose the baby weight. But then I was like, not just pigeonholing it to people that had just had babies. I was like, if you are still battling the bulge and it's 5 years later, this is the mommy support group, right? So I've done groups like that. I've done busy women's challenge groups where it's all about like fast, quick, easy meals, but it's all the same concept, right? We're still doing a fitness program. We're still drinking Shakeology. I just give it a theme because it spices it up. It keeps me fresh. So, you know, you just as the coach, have to kind of think outside of the box a little bit and say, what do people want from me? What do people ask me about, right? So what can I offer that just makes me a little unique and different? We like to call that our slight edge. Like, what makes me just a little unique and different that people want to sign up with me? And that's kind of your angle of things too. If they don't answer your questions, or if they are on a health and fitness journey, do you try to connect again? So if they don't answer the questions on if they are in a health, yeah, absolutely. If they don't answer that question, but they respond back, is that what you're asking, Amanda? Or if they just don't respond at all, I still will go back, especially if they're watching my stories. I'll be like, hey girl, I see you watching my stories. How you doing? You know, I'll be like, what are you up to today? And so I just connect with people. Just connect like it's a friend. Don't overthink about it. Yeah. All right. So your process, so from start to finish, right? Let's say 1 to 2 hours is what you should be devoting to this. It can be chunked up into 10 minutes here and 20 minutes there and an hour here. There are also some days where I am legit in survival mode. And so I sometimes have days where I don't get to all the follow-ups or all the invites. And so I'll do a lot on Saturdays and Sundays. Like tonight, I'll sit and do a massive amount of follow-ups tonight. So it's okay if every day isn't perfectly planned and laid out and doesn't go exactly as you want. But at the end of every week, you should really be averaging what is on that tracker sheet. All right. Okay. And then I want to leave you with one more thing. I'll answer these 2 questions and then I'll let you guys go. How do you transition from connecting over your kids to an invite? So Jennifer, if we're doing something and it's not really, like it doesn't feel natural to move into the invite, I end that conversation, but then I will go back like the next day, especially if I see somebody like engaging with my stuff and liking my post. Like even on my post, I'll go back and message people that liked my challenge group post, or my morning workout post. If that person that you're talking to about kids is watching you, just say, hey, you know, like I noticed you like all my fitness posts. I noticed you like a lot of my recipes. Are you interested? I know we've been talking about our kids, but would you be interested in joining my support and accountability group? That would be my next step to do that actual invitation. Bethany, suggestions on recruiting working coaches. So here's the thing. When I started out coaching, even now, most of my coaches are my challengers. So I would look at your challenge groups and say, I am grooming people within my challenge group to become my future coaches. So that's where I would start. I would invite those people and say, hey, I'm getting ready to start my next challenge group. Do you have 3 people that you can think of that would want to do this with you? You can get your product paid for. You can earn some extra commissions and I'll run the challenge group. We can even sort of co-run it together. Is that something you would be interested in? And you can save 25% off your products. So I would start with your current customers, right? Pumping them up, letting them know they can do this too. And then also make sure that on your stories, you are working in the business opportunity. Like you're actually talking about coach life and what you do and how you earn an income for this. That's very powerful. People, again, just like they don't understand challenge groups, don't always understand the coaching opportunity. So make sure you're working that in. And if you see somebody on social media that you think would make a great coach, tell them that. Are you a coach? Because you're already doing what I do. Would you be interested in learning more about, how I earn an income helping people to achieve their health and fitness goals? All right. Okay. What do you do for people that are on IG and not Facebook? So Michelle, you can run your challenge groups through the Challenge Tracker app. So that would be the perfect place to support people if they don't have Facebook. And that's all connected from Beachbody too. All right. Okay. So it is 9 o'clock, it is 9:01 to be exact, but I really hope that this helped you get a little more clarity on what you should be spending your time on. And I really hope that you take a moment to reflect and say, where am I missing the mark? Like, what part of this is really like, do I need to focus on so that I can reach my goals? The next thing is I want you to have a little bit of patience, right? I want you to know that it does take a little bit of time. Consistency over time is what is going to create results. And then here's the thing. It is January 20th. So every single coach should hit Success Club by the end of the month. There is no reason why you can't get 3 people to sign up between now and the end of the month. That means you talk to between 30 and 50 people between the end of the month, and you are consistent. You should be able to make it happen. All right. And so I don't want anybody to say, oh, this is not my month. This is your month. This is your time, right? Like, you put your head down, you put your blinders on, and let's focus on the right activities, because I believe that you guys can do it. And I know it takes practice. I know it takes a little bit of patience, but you guys are going to crush it. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. I will get this recording processed and posted so you can share it and review it and come back to it later too. All right. Okay, guys, have a wonderful night. I'll see you guys later.